The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
1330 WEBY.
Welcome back, America. And listen, as I've been promising you, in the next few moments, I'm going to bring Lieutenant Mike Zullo on the air with me. Lieutenant Mike Zullo, as most of you know, he is the lead investigator of the Sheriff Arpaio Obama eligibility investigations. Mike, welcome to Freedom Friday.
Carl, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. You know, I was listening to Bradley Jensen introduce me, and I heard him say, you know, Carl believes in, I forgot what it was, but something along the lines of just truth, common sense, and reason. And when he was saying that, I was thinking, you know, look at this whole Obama citizenship scenario. What's the truth we know thus far? We know that he posted a document on the internet claiming that it was his birth certificate, and now through over a year-long deeply forensic study, law enforcement, legal study, the truth is that document is a forgery. Reason and common sense tells us that right now we have more evidence indicating that Barack Obama probably is not even a U.S. citizen than we have evidence that he probably is a U.S. citizen. Am I right about those statements so far?
I would be in full agreement with that assessment. We are lacking evidence in a lot of very sensitive areas of someone's background.
Right. Well, and again, you are a law enforcement officer, and you are the chief investigator, or the lead investigator. You have been, you're retired law enforcement, but you're the lead investigator in this investigation. And of course, I spent quite a few years in law enforcement myself. So you just stated it properly, and I tried to state it properly, and that is the evidence thus far seems to indicate that he more than likely is not a U.S. citizen. But all you want is the truth. All I want is the truth. If we discover that he is a U.S. citizen, we'll trumpet that. Isn't that correct?
Absolutely. That's been our intention from the very beginning. When Sheriff Arpaio accepted this and sent it over to us, we really thought we would come out of this thing in a couple of weeks saying, it's all good, folks. You can lay your head to rest. But that wasn't the case.
Right. Now, and of course, what we were talking about with the concealed weapons is that this is why, folks, this is why it's important. This is why elections are important. This is why knowing who the president is and vetting him. Obama's never been vetted. No one. The Congressional Research Service has put it in writing in black and white that no one has ever seen his identifying and official documents. No one. No one has. He's never been vetted by anyone, regardless of what you think. By the way, Mike, I've got more to say, but I've got a guy that's been hanging on the line who wants to talk to you. But let me just, I want you to talk to Doug, Mike. He's next. And then I want you to tell us about the event with Colin Powell, okay?
Sure.
All right, let's go to the phone lines. Doug, thank you for hanging on. You're very gracious for doing so. Welcome to Freedom Friday. You're on the line and on the air with Lieutenant Mike Zullo, Doug.
Carl.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Along with what you're talking about right now, Brother Carl, have you talked about, or are you familiar with the upcoming deposition on February 15th with Judge Roberts? Is that in reference to
Obama's eligibility?
Vetting situation with on Obama?
Yeah, Mike, what do you know about that? I've been seeing stuff on the internet about that, and I've been meaning to give you a call and talk to you about it personally, and I haven't. So I'll ask you right here on the air in response to Doug's question. Do you know anything about this?
I'll hang up and listen, guys.
Okay, thank you, Doug.
Yeah, Carl, I do. What that is, there's a lot of misinformation going out there. I believe this is another challenge being issued by Orly Tates. And I think previously Ms. Tates went to the Supreme Court to ask them to hear a case on eligibility of the president. She was turned down. This is nothing more than her repeating that process to ask the court if they will entertain hearing her arguments about the eligibility of the president. I do not expect this to succeed. I believe she's going to get the same result that she got before. And you know, as far as I am concerned, it is very difficult to really move forward in presenting the evidence if you can't first adjudicate the document.
Right.
If you can't get this birth certificate adjudicated in some form, proven beyond a reasonable doubt that it is fraudulent, it's going to be very difficult to move forward.
Right. Right. I understand. But you guys, and when I say you guys, I'm talking about the Arpaio investigation, of which you are the lead investigator. You guys have not given up on this, right? I mean, you're still seeking legal recourse, criminal recourse if possible. I mean, you guys are convinced through your forensic examination plus more examination, even recently. You're convinced that the document that has been proffered by Barack Obama is a 100% forgery. It's a fake. Am I right?
You're 100% right. I'm going into my 17th month now of working on this full time. This investigation has never stopped. The only thing that stopped is the media coverage around the investigation. And that was done for a number of reasons, and flying under the radar at a certain point in time makes perfect sense. But we have not stopped. We are so convinced. Let me go out on a limb, and you'll understand this from your law enforcement background, Carl. You know, you have that level of probable cause. Mm-hmm. I am going to put my reputation out there that we have evidence beyond a reasonable doubt, the higher standard, beyond a reasonable doubt that this document is an utter forgery.
Right. So there's probable cause, which gives me, as a law enforcement officer going back many years, probable cause is enough information or evidence that I can begin to delve into it. I can begin to research it. I can begin to investigate. But beyond reasonable doubt, now we're getting into if you had a suspect, you could make an arrest. Now, that doesn't mean that a court's going to find them guilty, but I mean, you're at the point now that if you had a suspect, and if you had the jurisdiction, you could make an arrest based upon the information you have discerned so far. Is that right?
Well, probable cause would give me the ability to make the arrest because it would be a good faith arrest. I have enough information that is leading me in a direction. Actually, beyond a reasonable doubt is what's adjudicated in a courtroom. Right. It's what a jury normally would come up with a determination, or a judge. Right. And I'm telling you, the evidence that we have acquired, and newfound evidence that we have never made public at any point in time, and we are not going to make public until we have the right opportunity, will convince even the greatest skeptic that this document is 100% a forgery.
Right.
And if you want to get to the truth, it starts with this document.
Absolutely. You know, I was going to make that next statement by saying that because this document is a forgery, that does not prove that Obama is not a U.S. citizen. However, it does, if we can prove, and you have proven it, and now we need to get it adjudicated. But what it does, it causes more questions. Why would the president's office commit these felonies, and why would you not just present a legal birth certificate? I mean, what are they hiding? What are they covering up? What's wrong? Am I right about that?
You're 100% correct. I mean, the logical question for anybody, and the other thing I want your listeners to really walk away from today with is understanding something. Don't let people shape what you believe because you think they have a lot of letters after their names, or they acquired how many different degrees.
Right.
All right. What's missing in today's society is good old-fashioned common sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you can take the certifying mechanisms, the register stamp, and move it all around the document,
right,
but you scan a document in and you can't move anything,
right, that
tells most people something's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you guys have documented that so well. The document, I mean, a relatively intelligent child, once shown the evidence you guys have, could say there's something bad wrong with that. All right, welcome back, Gulf Coast. Welcome back, America. Lieutenant Mike Zullo is our guest this afternoon, and we're going to continue with Lieutenant Mike because he is the lead investigator of the Sheriff Arpaio Obama eligibility investigation. He's a friend of Freedom Friday, and he keeps us posted on all the latest, greatest information. There's several things we want to talk about, Mike, but first I'm going to ask you if you feel comfortable. I'm going to ask you to vindicate me just a little bit, I guess is the word to use. Several weeks back, I made just a kind of a nebulous announcement that we were expecting the possibility of something pretty big happening in this case, something coming forward that people would know and see and hear about. That hasn't happened yet. That particular thing hasn't happened, although there may be some other things in the works. But do you have anything you can say about that? Was I speaking truthfully back then? What's happened to all of that?
Well, you were speaking truthfully, and this went over the holidays, the Christmas and New Year's holiday. We were working feverishly to make a major advance forward in this endeavor. And we got really close, but unfortunately some other things got in the way and put a damper on it. I can't really elaborate on it right now.
Yeah, I know.
It's not totally out of the realm of possibility, but we do have other things that we are pursuing.
Right.
Like, you made it clear, I made it clear, we have not stopped this. We are just taking a different tack now,
Right.
looking at this from a total law enforcement perspective. The media thing, the authors who write books, the bloggers, they're all out of the way.
Right.
This is about the truth.
Right.
And this is about a law enforcement investigation that is trying to propel itself forward because we know that there's a problem.
Right. Right. And God bless you, and thank you guys for doing that. Let me, before we go further, I want to ask you about Colin Powell, but tell the folks how they can donate to the Cold Case Posse, because you guys don't use taxpayer money. You do this on donations, and I know you've got folks donating and helping, but there's a lot of expense involved in this. How can people who want the truth about Obama brought out in an official law enforcement way, how can they donate to this cause?
Yeah, I appreciate it. It is very expensive for us to do this, and we don't get compensated for this, but the traveling is just unbelievable and unbelievably expensive. You can donate real simple, just going to mcsoccp.org. That's mcsoccp.org. There's a donation button, and we would just love, $5, $10. Just goes a long way for us.
Okay, that MCSOCCP, that stands for Maricopa. That's M as in Mary. Maricopa County Cold Case
Sheriff's
Posse, right?
Office?
Yeah, Sheriff's Office.
Maricopa County Sheriff's Office Cold Case Posse.
Okay, and folks, the easy way to get there, if you're listening, you're driving home, you can't write all this down, go to carlgallops.com, click on the Freedom Friday link. Under the special guest there, you'll see it right in the middle of the page, VIP guest. Click on Mike Zullo, Lieutenant Mike Zullo. It'll take you right to that website, and from there you can donate, and that will help with this investigation. All right, tell us what's happened with Colin Powell. So Colin Powell came out and made a disparaging remark about birthers, and see, you would be a birther. I mean, Sheriff Arpaio, 6 investigators, all of these forensics laboratories, digital document experts, people myself, P.P. Simmons, Freedom Friday, we would be considered these crazy birthers, and Colin Powell had something nasty to say about it, and you have responded. Tell us all about that.
Well, I guess, Mr. Powell came out swinging for some unknown reason with Diane Sawyer, I believe it was, on ABC News, and he really kind of shouted out to Republican leaders saying that, they need to speak out against these kind of presentations that demonize the president and this crazy birther movement, and that the Republican Party is buying into this stuff and it's killing off the party.
Right.
For Mr. Powell, I had to clarify a couple things. Number one, I am not a birther. I don't even know what the term birther means.
Right.
I know it's just something that the media has placarded against the foreheads of anyone who is questioning this document and where this individual was born or reared up.
Right. If the term birther means that you care what the Constitution says about the qualifications of the president and you want to know where this man was born, then you are a birther, and so am I, and I'm proud of it.
And that apparently is what they want to label us at. But Mr. Powell's comments were a little deeper than just that.
Yeah.
It seemed that he was trying to shut down any further dialogue on this topic.
Yes, he was.
And I can tell you, Carl, the thing that's very suspect to me is I've had extremely in-depth confidential phone conversations over the last 5 weeks, and I'm beginning to wonder if the NSA truly is listening into my phone conversation.
You don't reckon?
Because I don't think so. There is no reason for him to come out and even talk about this, because basically all the media coverage has virtually dried up on the topic.
Right.
But yet he's coming out here and he's saying this. Well, my question to Mr. Powell was pretty simple. I gave an interview to Mark Gallar in the Tea Party Power Hour, and I had opened invitation.
Yeah.
I will pay for his expenses to come down to the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. I'll put him up in a nice resort and give me one afternoon, and I will disclose to you, Mr. Powell, all the information, all the evidence that we have acquired, and prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this document is a forgery.
That's brilliant, Mike. And the other thing is, tell Mr. Powell to bring with him documents that prove otherwise.
Well, and that's the other thing, Carl.
We've got 5 seconds, Mike. I'm sorry, go ahead. We've got 5 seconds, Mike.
the most amazing part is no one else ever said that they did any work to prove this thing false or prove it legitimate.
That's right. That's right. You're absolutely right.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.